And I I think one thing that we have done really well is not just placing all the information on mom, right? Like
Right.
normally mom has to go to the store and leave the baby with dad, and dad either calls all the time or texts all the time or doesn't know what to do with baby for
That ain't me.
X amount of time. And yes, huge props to you. Like, that
Yeah.
is not you whatsoever.
Yeah.
If I have to go somewhere, I do not have to tell you a single thing. Even if I'm gone for the day. Gosh, I've been gone for a weekend. I've been gone
traveled.
for a full weekend. I've traveled multiple times at this point, and I don't have to leave any type of instruction for you.
Nope.
I don't have to tell you anything. You know what to do. You know where everything is.
Hello, I'm Tijani Musa.
And I'm Yasmin Musa. And this is how we're doing it.
Welcome to our How We're Doing It. Here we'll share stories about our journey and experiences of being first-generation college graduates, our family, buying our first home, moving across the country, and living a debt-free lifestyle. We do so in an authentic, fun, and educational way to help other first-generation immigrants with similar paths. So, Yasmin, what we got today?
Today, we'll be talking about parenting.
That's an exciting one. Parenting. Let's do that.
Let's do it.
All right. Parenting, all right? Do you want to give me what your definition of parenting is before we start? What is parenting to you?
My definition of parenting.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. That's a loaded question.
Yeah.
There's a lot of layers to it.
Uh-huh.
Like, I think it's, as a mom, it's like the most selfless thing. And yet the most beautiful thing, watching your child that you created grow.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, from the beginning stages of like trying to conceive and then pregnancy and then having the baby, gosh, there's so much in between. And it's a beautiful thing, but it's also very hard.
Yeah.
Just in the most honest way. So I would say in general, parenting, it's beautiful, tiring, amazing, and all the great things. And also very hard. It's a complex answer.
Okay. It's one of those things that are challenging but also fun and rewarding, huh?
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things that you can't really 100% prepare for.
Right.
I think a lot of times I felt like, oh, I was ready. You know, we wanted to start a family. We knew we were ready.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like at the same time, how do you measure if you're actually prepared? You know, how do you decide, is this the right time? All of those factors.
Yeah. It's a tough one. maybe I'm pushing this way to the front, but I remember when at the hospital on the last day when we checked out, they handed us the car seat. They handed us the baby. And I took the baby. We went downstairs. I put the baby in the car. We strapped the baby up and all that stuff. And I went back to the driver's seat. And I turned on the car. And I'm sitting there. What in the world did we just do? And what do I do with this child?
Yeah.
What is this? So I'm like low key, maybe high key. I was freaking out because now we have a life that depends on us. Mm-hmm. And now we have to take that life home and pretty much parent, as the title of this episode.
Yeah. And there's no handbook. And even if there was a handbook, honestly, everyone's experience is going to be different.
Oh, yeah.
Every child is different. Every pregnancy is different. Every delivery, all the things, everything is different. Even, you know, from like your first child to your second child, I've heard that those experiences can be very different. So I think the biggest thing is, in terms of parenting, there's no handbook, and everyone's experience is going to be different. So until you go through it, you're really not going to know how to prepare or what to do or what's going on. And you have like, you know, a plan in your head of what's going to work, and then it doesn't work, because parenting is ever changing, and you adapt based on what your child's needs are. And so it's a learning Experience every day. You learn something new.
Based on what you just said, for people that are like sports people or like sports, maybe this analogy will resonate with some of those people. And while you're talking, I'm thinking, okay, what you're describing is essentially what an athlete does, right? So you go through all this practices, you read all this plays, and the coaches tells you everything that you need to know about the other team that you're about to play. And you spend the entire week preparing for this game. You spend the entire week practicing with your teammates and everything like that. And then game day comes, everything that the coaches has taught you, all the things that you've read or know about this team, when it's time to execute those things, even if you execute them the way they are outlined, you may or may not get the results that you actually anticipate or think you're gonna get. So basically, you've spent the entire time preparing or practicing for this one game, and then you come to game time or game night, things change. And all of a sudden, the team that you prepared for may be out prepared for you. So now the competition is different from what you practice. So that's what I'm hearing when you were talking. You're talking about, say you go on this parenting journey and you start reading all these textbooks, you start listening to all these podcasts, you start listening to all these friends that are parents, and all of a sudden you become a parent. It's different. Mm-hmm. You no longer are using those theoretical things. Now you have to be in the practical way of life, like actually applying all these things that you've learned of experience from other people, and sometimes it may or may not work.
And the challenges constantly change.
Absolutely.
Like in pregnancy, you're worried about, getting through your first trimester, like, and then you get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm just tired of being pregnant. I just want to deliver the baby. And then the baby's here and you're worried about like a million little things, right? Like, oh, did the baby poop?
Yes. That's true.
With Jasleen, she had jaundice when she was born. And so she needed to be under blue light to help with the jaundice. And we were so worried and so scared for her at the hospital. There were just so many things that I feel like the challenges constantly change, and you just have to adapt. I'll give the biggest example. Before we had Jasleen, I remember being like, oh no, she's not going to be a screen baby. We're not going to do any screen time, blah, blah, blah. No. That was my before baby mentality. And then I had her, and the reality of life where we are currently at is that we have screens all over. Our whole life revolves around technology, so it's very hard to keep kids away from it. And the way we started using it is sometimes we just needed to eat.
Right.
Especially as she got, older, yes. We just needed 10, 15 minutes to eat our food, maybe even less than that. And so we would put on something educational. And over time, grandparents have allowed her to watch have her screen
movies.
Watch her movies.
Now she watches movies, huh?
Yeah, but I think it was something that we had to evolve and just adapt to what our child needed.
Right. That's a very important key, right? Adapting to situations as they come. Sometimes as a parent, what we've learned and continue to learn is we think that like what you were saying, something is going to go this way, but then the baby wants to go that way. And so what do you do as a parent to service the need of your child at that particular time? And so that's what we because when Jasleen was born, in the first few weeks, we weren't able to eat together. We couldn't do it. One person would eat and one person watches her, vice versa. So, but now being able to adapt to her and the situation we're in, we can all eat together. Even if she's not eating, me and you are still able to eat dinner together.
Yeah, which leads me to like the importance of like the family time, right? Like we've always, that's been like a huge priority for us, like just sitting down and eating dinner as a family. And I think we do this, we use the screen time because most of the time she finishes way before us, because she'll start maybe like a couple minutes before us,
Right.
until we can get things settled, and then by the time you and I sit down, she's done. So all of that to say, you adapt the best you can. You do what works for your family, because what works for us might not work for somebody else.
Right. But that is true, right? What works for us may or may not work for somebody else. But in that line of thinking, there are things that are like standard across the board, right? Like spending time with your family.
Mm-hmm.
That is a standard. Like it's like a basic thing, benchmark, if you will, that if you decide to have a family, right? You decide to bring a child in this world. It's almost like an obligation or a responsibility to make sure that you are present and being there for that child. And so me and you do a very fine job, spending quality time with each other, and then spending quality time with Jaslyn. And now that we live in a very large state of Texas, there are literally so many things we could do and so many places we could go to. So we try to take advantage of all of those things by spending quality time together. And even if we're not outdoors, when we're indoors, we make the extra effort to spend time together and enjoy our time with the kids.
Yeah. When we're at home, if it's a rainy day, or like right now, winter time, when the sun sets super early, we're like reading together, praying. It's a beautiful thing, guys. Our daughter asks us to pray.
Yeah.
She'll start saying, pray.
She forced you to go pray, not ask.
Yes,
She go hold your hand.
Alhamdulillah, mashallah. How beautiful that she has seen us, because it's been something that's been a part of our life since she was born, since she was a baby. She's seen it. And so now she's asking for it.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes our Muslim brothers and sisters know life gets busy, and
mm-hmm.
you're like, oh yeah, I have to pray when I get a chance. But to have your daughter remind you, man,
that's where you want to be.
That's where you want to be.
That's the biggest reward in raising a family that practices the love for God. And you want to be in a position where your child reminds you to go pray or observe prayer. That's the best feeling. Like, you cannot describe that.
So, and then in terms of like when you're saying when we're outside, like making time for experiences, right? Like
right.
Experiences as a family. I would say that we dedicate at least one day of the weekend for an experience, even if it's like a small one.
Right.
Unless we're sick or something is going on, we try to, even if it's the park,
right?
Small walk around the park, zoo, like those types of activities that'll get her involved.
Yeah, there are so many things you can do, right? You can do outdoors things, weather permitting, or if it's indoors, you can also do different things. Like for me, I would like bring out tape and just tape the floors, and then bring out the toys from the kids' cart, and then just start playing different games.
So you make so he's talking about like making tunnels.
Yeah.
And with paper and tape.
Right.
He'll roll up the paper and make tunnels, and then like have Leo
wind up cars.
Wind up the cars and try to get them in the hole, and then he'll say like, oh, if you get it through this hole, this one's worth 50 points and this one's worth 100. Yeah,
and then he gets competitive and it gets fun. And then you can do games with balloons where they can toss the balloon up and see who can hold the balloon and make sure that the balloon doesn't touch the floor. So there are different things you can do indoors when the kids are younger. And then once they get older, you start implementing or incorporating like board games, those type of things to get their minds going, because you just need to burn out those energy. And then if you can go outside, me and the kids usually go in the backyard. We play soccer, we play football, we run around, we play in the dirt. I have a little garden in the back, and so we spend some time there gardening, all those kind of things. So it's just about spending quality time. So once you're present, trust me, you will find things to do.
Because kids want to be involved, right? Like, they
Right.
want to do what you're doing. They want to help you. So just get them engaged. Leo loves baking.
Oh yeah.
Loves baking. So we've worked it into our routine where when he has a good week, we can bake at the over the weekend at the end of the week, and he loves it. He thrives off of it. It's an incentive, and he helps in the kitchen, and he feels independent. So we do it.
Yeah, but disclaimer: he bakes, but he doesn't want to eat the cake.
That's true.
So
You're the one that
I
ends
end up
eating
eating
the
all of the cake. So I don't know. Maybe when he's baking in the kitchen, he actually isn't following the recipe, and he just makes
No,
stuff that he doesn't like.
I think because I remember, like, he loves chocolate cake, and the
Uh-huh.
chocolate cake, he was eating that one.
Yeah.
And then one time when we made the strawberry cake, he was like not having it. I don't think he
Oh,
liked
maybe it's
it.
the flavor.
I
Okay.
think it's the flavor.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take it back then.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, for the record, I'm the one who eats all the cake, but he's the one that wants to do the caking or baking, should I say?
Okay.
So yeah.
I think one other point I want to bring up is, like, as parents, I think you and I do a good job at knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, my weakness is sleep. I love my sleep. I'm a deep sleeper.
Yeah.
I hate waking up in the morning. I'm not a morning person. No matter the amount of coffee, I probably can't function very well until like 9, 10 a.m. Past that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, honestly, since, gosh, forever, probably since I had Jasleen, especially, you know, the first couple months when you're spending long nights up with the baby, you would just take over in the mornings.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason you can't sleep, and you just wake up early, and so you pick up that slack where you do wake up in the morning, and you allow me to sleep in a little bit, and that, I think, has made a big difference. You know, we're like playing on each other's strength. You're up early anyways, you can't sleep, so you get up, get the baby, you know, ready for the day, and then once I wake up, I can help take over. And I think that's a huge thing.
Absolutely. It's like you said, for me, the way I see it, you spent 9 months carrying Jasleen. And when she was born, you spent a few months providing for her with nutrients and everything like that. I was there, but I could only help so much. And so the least that I could do as your partner is to be able to play my part. And for me, that's one, right? Play my part in waking up and being there for her. And what that also does for me is it's beneficial for me, because then I'm creating a solid relationship with Jasleen, and she understands me and I understand her. So we have a very cool and close relationship because we spend a lot of time together. So that may be like, it may appear to be like I'm helping you because of you enjoy sleeping, but for me it's a benefit for me because it's my time to spend quality time. Again, going back to that quality time with her and getting to know her and learning her and her learning me as well.
And you guys have a beautiful bond.
Yeah, me and her cool.
Ultimate girl dad.
Yeah.
All the beautiful things.
And then another thing to go along with understanding your partner's strengths and weaknesses, right? That also is surrounded by communication. You got to communicate to your partner. Let them know what you need help with, because we cannot assume that the other person. One thing, right? When you're married, okay, this is just, maybe it's just me. What Yasmin considers to be like common sense, it's not common. What Yasmin considers to be, oh, you should know that, or you should see that, I don't see it. For example, let's say, for example, like cleaning the house. What Yasmin see as messy and dirty, I see it like it's okay. Nothing is on my way. I'm going by my business. I can go to my office. I can go to my room. But Yasmin see a million things that she can take care of at the house. And so if she doesn't communicate that to me, it ended up being volume on her. And so as a matter of communicating to your partner, letting them understand what is going on internally and externally so that they can be there and assist you.
You're dirty.
That's one way to define. That's one way to define my perspective.
No. I mean, I think yes, the communication piece is very important in marriage in general, but even more so when you become a parent.
Oh yeah.
I will say one thing when Jasmine was very little. This is newborn. When we're passing her from one person to another, resting in between. We did use that app, Huckleberry, to communicate between each other about feedings, sleep,
yes,
diapers, all the things. And it was very beneficial because then it made those very hard, busy, and stressful months. It made the communication a little bit easier between us.
Absolutely. And another thing we use in addition to those apps, we also have notes. Like the note app on the phone, the iPhones, we have shared notes about Jasleen. We know if for example, if we give her medicine, right? I could take notes on the Huckleberry app, or I could take notes on my shared notes. So you have access to it. If you're at work or I'm not able to pass down the knowledge to you, you could just go on the app and see what happened when she took the medicine. And when the next time she needs to take the medicine, or what happened to her? Did she go to the bathroom? Did she have a fever? Those type of things. It's very, very important to use the resources. So we have shared notes, we have shared calendar, and we have shared apps with the same accounts, and we see exactly what's going on with Jasleen.
To add to that, I would also say, I mean, we stress the importance of family quality time, right? But there's also the importance of our own time as a married couple, and then our individual time, right? Without just me, no you, no baby, no kids, nothing, and then you by yourself. And I think one thing that we have done really well is not just placing all the information on mom, right? Normally mom has to go to the store and leave the baby with dad, and dad either calls all the time or texts all the time or doesn't know what to do with baby for
that ain't me
X amount of time. And huge props to you. That is not you whatsoever. If I have to go somewhere, I do not have to tell you a single thing, even if I'm gone for the day. Gosh, I've been gone for a weekend. I've been gone
traveled
for a full weekend. I've traveled multiple times at this point, and I don't have to leave any type of instruction for you.
Nope.
I don't have to tell you anything. You know what to do. You know where everything is. You know everything about our daughter. And honestly, it's a beautiful thing that I don't have to have that mental load of, oh gosh, I have to give him a list of all these things, or oh gosh, I have to make sure he knows X, Y, and Z. No, you already know it. You're her father. You should be just as involved.
Right.
I think, our generation of dads, millennial dads, I saw on Instagram a post earlier this month about how millennial fathers are spending so much more time with their kids. And I want to give props
that's
to millennial
awesome.
fathers for that, because I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
The kids need it. The fathers need it.
Yeah.
There's a mutual benefit in that relationship, and I just think it's beautiful.
Yeah, and that ties into consistency, and then the thing you were talking about, spending our alone time, consistency, and then also setting boundaries, right? We know, for you spend your time the way you want to spend your time. For me, when I have my time, that's also on our shared calendar, and then also on our physical calendar in the house. For example, I like to go play soccer on Mondays when the time was good. Now with all this time change, it gets darker too early. But if I want to go play soccer, right, it's on the calendar, and you know that, and then you also respect that. And on the weekends, Saturday, when I want to go play soccer, even though you enjoy sleeping and you want to take your time, I'll talk to you nicely. And then some Saturdays you would wake up early, take over Jasleen, and I go do my thing and spend my time and then enjoy my quality time. And then also being consistent and set that's consistency, and then also setting boundaries, understanding, where how far do you want to go with things? How far do you want to go with your partner? And then just respecting those boundaries and respecting their time is these are tips for parenting, and then also they are tips for sustaining your relationship with your partner too.
Yeah, because it's not just you two anymore,
Right.
right? Like me and you before babies, we were a very different couple, and after baby, I feel like we're a stronger couple because our
Right.
communication has had to improve. The challenges we've faced
Right.
have been different, and they've made us stronger. And so, it's all just learning as you're going.
Yep. Exactly. And before we come closer to ending this episode, let's talk about Jaslyn specifically, like some of the milestones that she's able to accomplish or achieve so far, and where we are right now in our phase. Like currently, or maybe last week, we were doing potty training, those type of things, and then also on a day-to-day basis, how do we interact with her, like positive reinforcement on certain things? Do you have any examples about milestones and things she's achieved lately?
Jaslyn turned 2 in October,
Mm-hmm.
and she's been, in terms of like potty training, she's been working on it since she was about 6 months. Exposure to the potty, sitting on the potty, just being comfortable with it.
Right.
I gotta give a huge shout out to my bestie Rachel, who we talked about it. Her kids are about the same age as Jaslyn, and we talked about it, and she gave me some tips, and so I started doing that when Jaslyn was 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And at age 2, I told myself, we're just gonna go for it. I read the book Oh Crap, Potty Training.
Mm-hmm.
That was recommended by different friends, and so that was the perfect guide for me. It took our daughter a week, less than a week really, by the time she picked up the skill. She could verbally tell us she needed to go within the first day, and it was just, I think, all the exposure she had to it way in advance.
Yeah, she's done amazing results. Like she is like maybe it's just being parents, but she is like doing phenomenal job learning things, absorbing things. And we also encourage her, right? So if she's in the party during the party training week, and she does her thing in the toilet, we celebrate her. We
make
like
a big
deal out of it. We're like, we're cheering. Let's go.
We bring out those RA cheers,
right?
G-O-O-D
J-O-D J-O-B.
Good job.
G-W-A-D J-O-B. Good.
double-O-D.
Okay.
Wait, did I say it wrong?
I think you said it wrong.
I said goof instead of good.
You're supposed to spell good. I don't know what is G-O-O-B. What is G-O-O-B? Please tell me. And I'm the one who's wrong.
Oh my God.
I'm the one who's wrong. Okay.
My whole life just flashed in front of me.
You didn't
failure.
graduate.
Clearly, I did not graduate. Clearly, my 2 degrees have to be taken away.
Yeah, I'm filing a report petition.
I'm weak. Okay, anyways. She did amazing, and we're proud of her. And I think with anything, we've always been big on the positive reinforcement and just, letting her know what's okay and what's not, and setting boundaries. And she's exploring and testing her limits in this little age of 2.
Yeah. And pretty much, as a parent, you're literally, it's fascinating. Like, you're given this power to mold, the brain and behavior of a little human being. And literally, as a parent, you have to lead by example, because the kids see what you do and they want to emulate what you do precisely. So you have to know exactly what you do around them. And that's everything, including speaking to them, not yelling, not cursing in front of them. And the things that are also that are not verbal, but like action, like cleaning after yourself, they see it. And so now when it's time for them to clean after themselves with their toys and everything like that, they will do exactly as you do. So it's very important to lead by example and not just talking.
Yeah.
You have anything else before we wrap up this episode?
No. I guess one thing.
Uh-huh.
I think that a lot of times when you are the person that has not had kids, it's hard to understand the other side,
right?
And it really takes having the kid to realize, oh my God, this is really hard. And that's when you start giving credit to all the amazing parents that you see and all the families that are doing great things, because before that, it's almost like you have like this, I don't even know what to call it. It's
a shield, a wall.
Yeah, like this wall, in front of you that you just don't see until you become a parent.
Right.
And I encourage everyone, if you know a mom that's currently pregnant or a couple that's having a baby, to just be supportive. Reach out to them.
It's hard.
Ask them, what do they need? Don't ask about the baby. Everybody wants to know about the baby. Everybody wants to know, what does the baby need? How's the baby doing? Check on mom.
Yeah.
Check on dad.
The baby is fine. Trust me.
Yes. Everybody's taking care of the baby.
Yeah.
The baby's fine. It's the mom and the dad that you need to worry about, because they're going through a major life change.
Yeah.
And it's hard as, can I say a bad word?
It's hard as heck.
It's hard as heck.
In case parents are playing this for their kids.
No, don't play this in front of your kids. It's hard as heck. Yeah. And just if you're in the thick of it right now, be graceful, be gentle with yourself, love yourself, and trust yourself that you're doing what's best for your child, because only you know your child best. I
like it. And that being said, we are going to leave it right there. And that was a great ending. Thank you for listening to another episode of How We're Doing It. We want to hear from you. Contact us at hwdipodcast@gmail.com or leave a comment. If you like the show, consider subscribing in order to get notified of new episodes. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you again on the next episode.
Mama. Bye-bye.